Welcome, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, to the WCS Europe Premier League, where we continue to shape and form our round of 32. I'm Sean Apollo Clark, joined by James Colaris Carroll, and we're going to find out how Group E and today will continue on.
Our 32 players have already battled out halfway through the round of 32 here, as Group A, B, C, and D have already concluded. This week we're going to cover Group E and F, and then next we have Group G and H. All of these games are broadcast Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Central European Summertime.
Well, let's take a closer look at the players that have advanced already into the round of 16 as we approach the halfway mark, or should I say we are at the halfway mark, looking to complete the rest. We have MVP and Tefl, the reigning champion from Season 1, backed up by the Polish Zerg player. Group B, everybody's favorite, Stefano and MC make their way through to the round of 16. In Group C, we had MMA, a player looking to redeem himself in the StarCraft 2 scene alongside the Polish #1 Mana. And then in Group D, what a Group D we had last week.
Duck pulling out all the stops to advance on through alongside Hasu Obs as well. But we still have 8 more to determine, and 2 of those will be tonight.
That's right. So let's take a closer look at Group E, which is the group we're going to be going into this evening. We have BabyKnight, Ret, Thorzane, and Welmu. An interesting dynamic group, to say the least.
Yeah, you're definitely right there. Ret being the only non-Nordic representative, we should say here, as Welmu sitting at around a 74% win ratio in terms of his PvP, which is going to match up against BabyKnight's 50% in this first game for tonight, who's sitting at 50%, but he does have some very, very good results under his belt in that matchup.
You know, looking at the overview of this group, I'd like to say there's one favorite, in my opinion. I'd say BabyKnight. I have one underdog, which is Welmu. The wild card, the unpredictable, don't know if we're going to see the Ret that won the Europe Battle.net Invitational back in 2011, and of course that wild card is Ret himself. And then we have Thorzane, a player that is not performing as well as his name would suggest. He really does need to perform to live up to that EG name, Thorzane.
And definitely, and we can take a look at the brackets here, as we will have Ret and Thorzane later on, but we will be kicking things off with BabyKnight and Welmu. Just to explain here what is actually going to be occurring. The upper bracket will begin with our first 2 series. Winners from those games will advance on for the chance to fight for a round of 16 spot. The losers from that upper bracket will fall down to the lower and then compete with the loser from that upper game to actually have that second round of 16 placement.
That's right. So you guys have seen the format before. It's the same every single day that we cast the WCS. Now it's time to have a look at our first game of the evening, which is going to be between the 2 Protoss players, BabyKnight and Welmu. Denmark versus Finland to start us off in Group E.
Very, very large disparity here between their WCS rankings, but in the end, Welmu is a player that, throughout the entirety of his online performances, has performed absolutely fantastically and has been highly rated by pro gamers just in general. But when it came to his qualification process, it was a bit tough for him, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, in Season 1 in the Premier League, he played through 4 different qualifiers and then didn't make it, unfortunately, and had to play through 3 Challenger League qualifiers before finally entering the WCS. And that was Challenger League, where he made his way through as the only player in today's group to not have been in the Premier League last season. And to elaborate a little bit on the rated highly by pro gamers, this guy right now is, I think, #1 barcode Protoss player on the European ladder at the moment, if not #2. He is very high up there, performing extraordinarily well. But now he goes up against his counterpart, BabyKnight, who finished as the highest ranking Protoss in Season 1, finishing in the round of 8. And he's just made waves in the scene, since his start in 2012, where he actually qualified and made himself a name in the WCS scene.
Yeah, Season 1 here, dubbing himself, was giving him the name the Legend Killer, as he was able to take out people like Grubby, Stefano, and Naniwa in the round of 32 and the round of 16. In the end, in the round of 8, did fall to Stefano, as he brought a phenomenal set of games. But BabyKnight, he's here to stay, man. He is a Protoss player that is out for blood.
He is out for blood, and these 2 players will be going head-to-head. And I think this is going to be the most important match for both of these players. Again, Protoss versus Protoss, we talked a little bit about their stats as we saw them pop up there. They're very, very good against Protoss players. If you look at, for example, Welmu, currently sits on a 74% win record in broadcasted matches against other Protoss players. On the other hand, we had BabyKnight, who went through Grubby, who went through Naniwa in Season 1, and and has always performed well in Protoss versus Protoss. The one weakness of both of these players, though, is the fact that they may have to play against a Terran player where neither of them have a high win record against that. So to be able to win the first game today, to maybe skip that option of playing against a Terran player, that's something they must hope for.
Certainly, yeah. Our first map will be Derelict Watcher to open things up with this PvP. So Welmu and BabyKnight facing off against one another, and their styles can sometimes clash. Sometimes you see a lot of very aggressive plays from these players, but they're not complete strangers to a big map.
I think they play very similar to each other, and we'll talk about that as we get ready to start the first game of the evening right here, right now.
Yeah, as we have spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner here as our blue Protoss, we have Navi's BabyKnight. And spawning up to the top right-hand corner as our red Protoss, we have NRS Welmu.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about these two players' styles when it comes to playing the game overall, and more specifically Protoss versus Protoss. Both of them are highly aggressive overall. As a unit, as an individual in StarCraft, they are very aggressive. They are very good at, building a strategy to kill you fast and clean.
Yeah.
They play very similar, very aggressive, very micro-oriented. And that's a clash of styles, both of them having the same style going up against each other today. I mentioned earlier, actually on Twitter, is these two players play under barcodes on the European ladder, but nobody knows who is who because they play so similar.
Yeah, exactly. You see a lot of kind of blink timings coming out from them on one base, etc., and trying to just catch their opponent off guard. And Derelict Watcher is one of those maps that actually doesn't do too badly for a blink kind of play. There is some room to actually jump into your opponent's main, but not a massive amount. So it really depends on how they're going to read each other.
Yeah, I think that Welmu, I've watched a lot of his games, and he really does like to use blink play. As you said, loves to use blink play. I don't know what we're going to see out of BabyKnight. His style, not really style, but his strategies have changed since Season 1. In Season 1, we saw a lot, if not every single game, was Stargate play. I'm not sure if we'll see that again. With the recent development of how Protoss versus Protoss plays, there are a lot of one gateway expansion builds that come into the mix. And that's something that I think that, funnily enough, neither of them will do, because that's not how they play.
Yeah, exactly. There is those two trains of thought, and Welmu and BabyKnight, they're very much more the aggressor here. Welmu did have 2 in his initial gas, and then has just transferred 3 into the both now, whilst we have BabyKnight here just opening up with 1 gas, a little bit more conservative here, and scouting around his natural. So making sure his opponent isn't going for any too crazy proxies. Welmu only scouted out the main of his base, not his natural, though.
So the two builds, exactly how this should work out is we have Welmu focusing very heavily on gas income. He's probably going to tech really fast off a single gateway, most likely the Twilight Council. On the other hand, BabyKnight with a later second gas could focus on expanding earlier, or what I think we may see is 3-gate pressure. It could be either, because as mentioned, he was a bit more mineral focused.
Yeah, that 3-gate pressure certainly is very strong in this matchup. Mothership cores are on the way here for both players. Welmu just chrono boosting out a few units to make sure that he's truly sturdy. And surprise, surprise, there's that Twilight Council in the back. BabyKnight yet to see it though.
Oh, BabyKnight's not going to see it as the Mothership Core and Stalker pop out at the same time. And that Twilight Council there should be, for blink play, a favored style here for Welmu. On the other hand, we do have a second gateway coming down. The second gateway for BabyKnight can come down, and he can actually add on a third one, depending on where his Chrono Boost now goes. If it's into the Cyber Core, we most likely will see the third gateway come down, and now you have these two strategies shape up against each other. A player who's teching fast against a player who's rushing faster. If BabyKnight can get in there before blink play is activated or something, then he could do well. But remember, the Mothership Core is there. Photon Overcharge can be used to buy that time to get the blink out.
Yeah, you're right. It's so much harder to actually break someone earlier on in this matchup, or against Protoss in any matchup at this point.
It's actually a Dark Shrine, not blink play. Really unexpected play coming out here by Welmu. But, you know, the same theory applies. It's Tekka versus gateway pressure. If he's able to get a pylon and probe out, which he has on the top left-hand side, and get DTs on the field, and even defend with some as well,
yeah, he could be fine. I don't know how well the aggression's going to work. The Robo Facility's already on the way for BabyKnight. Halfway completed right now, as is Welmu getting his own as well, just to make sure he's going to be a bit more sturdy against what BabyKnight would want to do, as he's already got pylons set up in an aggressive position as well. So, as we said at the very beginning, man, aggression versus aggression.
Aggression versus aggression. This is just their play styles. This is how they like to play the game. This is going to be a little bit interesting here. Photon Overcharge will have to be activated back at home, as he does have 100 energies. He does put it down. The Dark Shrine, though, has not been revealed. This can be either. He knows it's some form of tech, but he doesn't know if it's a Dark Templar or not. But he already has an Observer in the robotics facility on the way home.
Yeah, he still has yet to see that. And he does kill off one Stalker there. Good micro by Welmu, but look how many Stalkers that BabyKnight actually has currently in that position. Probe actually moving out to the middle of the map after placing down those pylons for Welmu. But BabyKnight at this point, he's got a nice little light contain, but he has to retreat. I think he realizes the Dark Templar's that without even hitting anything.
Yeah, this has not worked out too well for Welmu here. He's got a Dark Templar defending, but they're just going to run home. He has a Dark Templar attacking, but there's an Observer here. And this is a very easy position, I think, for BabyKnight just to defend against this without losing too much. To just go ahead and expand.
Yeah, you're right, and that's going to be very, very helpful here for BabyKnight. BabyKnight, despite actually being the player that also likes a lot of aggression, as we said before, he doesn't mind going into the macro game, and he has a lot of tricks up his sleeve from that point on as well. We saw him, I would say, infamously actually defeat Grubby with a 2-base Tempest play, and that's just one of the tricks that BabyKnight can utilize.
All right, so if we look at the matchup right now and how it's shaped up to be, the expansion comes down for BabyKnight. It's much earlier than his opponent because well, not much earlier because it will come down shortly here. It's not even that much earlier, but BabyKnight has a bit of a lead in this game. He didn't invest in some form of tech that wasn't necessary. So he get the expansion down a little bit faster, and he also has map presence, the other advantage in this game, because he didn't waste money. He just used his money for army units, which he's able to keep around still.
And Welmu here actually going for the Warp Prism to try and continue putting on aggression against his opponent. But realistically speaking, he actually has no units back at home. He has the 2 Immortals on the high ground, but it could be a little bit treacherous. Actually, no. I mean, now that I say that, 2 Immortals should be able to fend off quite a few Stalkers here.
DT did manage to get its way into the main base there, just very briefly, killed the Sentry and walked into the mineral line, just able to pick off a probe. Ooh. But here's the real pressure, but with an Immortal, a second one out too?
Yeah. Those Immortals should be able to hold on strong. Time Warp goes down as well, but for the most part, Welmu here, very, very comfortable. I wonder, he may have barely just got a glimpse of that Warp Prism, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It's I'm pretty sure he didn't see it, actually. So Welmu now, with a probe lead, because the DT did manage to pick off a couple in this game. 7 probes have been killed. That's quite a lot, considering that DTs were, seen early. They've still managed to squeeze in a couple of probe kills. And now with the Warp Prism making its way in, this can be a mix of units here. It may just be a DT. A single DT, I think, would be the best option for him here to try and crack that mineral line again, to keep up, actually gain himself a bit of a lead through killing these, almost.
Yeah, and now that you say that just 1 DT would be a good option, I think so as well. BabyKnight's observer positioning is not what it really could be. He's got one with his Stalkers at the front and another one moving out into the middle of the map. That means he's going to have very, very little detection in his mineral line, or that it is coming back. It is at the natural right now, so technically he could actually rally down to there to be okay.
But all he needs to do is poke in with this DT, which he's about to do, kill 3 probes or something, and come back to the Warp Prism and leave again.
Yeah.
That's a really, really good job, keeping the probe count down and low for his opponent. Look at the difference in probes, just a couple of probe kills here. 3, that's great. 4?
Wow, yeah.
And now he should just run back to the Warp Prism and then just leave and come back again at another time. Great harassment here from Welmu.
Very, very good indeed here. And BabyKnight, well, despite him actually favoring Blink for a lot during PvP as well, hasn't gone for it, so it's a little bit harder for him to actually hunt down that kind of Warp Prism play here. But he has been keeping an eye on what his opponent's been doing over the other side of the map. What does he actually currently see? He sees the Robo still pumping out Immortals. He's probably noticed the lack of Robo Bay thus far. Yeah,
the standard game that's been played out a lot of the time for people that open for a Twilight Council is just the natural transition over to Zealot's Charge and eventually Archons, a Zealot, Sentry, Immortal, Archon composition. So what we'll see from Welmu is just additional gateways and probably the Temporal Archives coming down in a little bit. But we do have a DT on the natural running towards the probe line. Just a couple of probe kills, man. That's all he needs.
Good force fields will prevent that from actually getting into the mineral line here, as well as a sneaky little position pylon as well, denying it from going through. But does find its way through, filters through those minerals, and will end up dying in the end. But still, 13 worker kills, not too bad. And he's even sending a Hallucinated Phoenix here just to get full confirmation of what his opponent's doing, but well-played Stalkers.
He sees quite a few Stalkers. But let's have a look through Welmu's vision and what he's actually seen here. He has seen the robotics bay, so he knows his opponent is going to play a Colossus-focused style. He can very easily take a third base here. For example, if you move out with a single or double Colossus in the middle of the map, with Zealot Charge, you just get surrounded and die. So this is a perfect time for Welmu to take his lead, push it into a third base, and through just very simple DT harassment that was spotted so early on, he's pushed himself in the lead through 13 probe kills. That's massive.
Yeah, it is really, really nice here. And Welmu, once again, is going to try and dive in with the Warp Prism, but no cigar for him just yet. BabyKnight will push that away despite not doing anything there, just having those Stalkers well positioned. And Welmu did just spot a probe moving out into the middle of the map, so he should be aware that his opponent may try some harassment in a little bit. But for now, I think he feels comfortable on the 2 base. I think he doesn't know that third's there, so the probe could quite easily spot that. Oh. Maybe not.
Well, he gets picked off quite easily there. But seeing a probe and a pylon in that location doesn't really signify aggression, more so harassment than anything else, because it's a little bit off to the side. It was a sneaky, way to get Zealots into the third base. But what we're going to see happen, man, BabyKnight has to play the super defensive player in this game if he has any hope of winning this from this position. He's behind 20-odd supply already. We had another scout there seeing everything that was going on, sees a low gateway count, only sees 3 gateways. That means the Nexus has to follow it. It can't be aggression. So Welmu is in just an amazing position. If I was Welmu, I'd start adding on extra gateways myself and just go for the kill.
Yeah,
you could actually go for a kill here.
The interesting thing is that despite his Phoenix scouting and seeing a RoboBay, he hasn't got full awareness as to how many Colossus his opponent actually has. But because he is a Protoss player in turn, he can determine how much gas he's been spending elsewhere and, the likelihood of it not being too many Colossus. And only 3 right now, going up against an army that does have charge, whilst his opponent doesn't have charge. Welmu's army is looking very, very good right now.
I'm pretty sure he could kill his opponent, but what he's going to do is force a cancel on the third base and go back. There's no need to risk it. This is Welmu's chance to make a name for himself in the WCS Europe Premier League. He's been working and practicing hard back at home, getting results online, qualifying for this. If he sees a chance, though, if Colossus are out in the open, he'll go for it, but the time warp does come down. It does push him back, and he doesn't want to, risk it. Imagine if he went in and lost everything. He'd lose his lead.
You're certainly right there. Welmu was looking for an engagement. He was just sending a few Zealots up there, trying to harass it, waiting for his opponent to move out into this middle area to try and go for the engagement, but he's going to go for it anyway. Time Warp goes down, as well as the Zealots are charging on forwards. No Zealot charge out for BabyKnight just yet, as it is just being researched, and his +2 weapons slightly behind here in terms of where it needs to be, because right now Welmu's piling on a lot of pressure, not only at the natural, but also the third base. He's separated up a lot of his army, though, but the Colossus are completely trapped.
A really good game here by Welmu, displaying why he's feared by so many professional gamers online at the moment. He comes crushing in, even though he didn't necessarily need to take the fight. He's just got too many units. He realizes that, yes, this is going to be my win, and will pick up game number 1 here against the top 8 finisher. BabyKnight from last season. A great start for Welmu's WCS Europe Premier League career so far.
No, you're right. I mean, to reiterate what we were talking about before, Welmu, he tried to qualify for in every qualification process during Season 1. Just barely was not able to qualify. And then coming into Season 2, did qualify for Challenger and worked his way through there to where he believes he rightfully should play. And now, taking game number 1 off a player that finished top 8 last season is a fantastic accomplishment, especially if he's able to carry that forward to the entire series.
And it's not like he just finished top 8. He was the only Protoss to make it top 8. And now Welmu's coming in to challenge that throne. And for the first time, we may have a cool underdog story from Welmu, who is the underdog coming into this group, who now has to prove what all the professional players have said about him online and, what we've heard about him too. And so far, a good start for the Finnish player.
Yeah, many a time, Welmu has actually attended quite a few LANs, such as Asus ROG, that's been going on in Finland, quite close to him, understandable. But he's been to some assembly, some DreamHacks as well, I believe. And not really done as well as you would expect someone of the caliber of level that he plays at. But again, a lot of that has been online. This round of 32 itself is online. He's going to feel very, very comfortable, sat at home, playing out these games against players he's played time and time again on the ladder, as well as in weekly cups. And BabyKnight has to step it up here. Yeah,
I mean, I'd say for Welmu in his old career, a round of 32 finish at an international tournament is good job, buddy.
Yeah.
But nowadays, he's a challenger to that. He could rise into the round of 16 here in the most prestigious league there is. So everything's here available for the taking. Can he take it? Does he crumble under the pressure? There's a lot of experience when it comes into this group. Rhett being the oldest player, 27 years old. And then you've got Thorzane, who's a multiple-time champion. BabyKnight in his own right is a national champion, but he's played on the big stage. He got to he finished in the World Championship last season, 9th to 16th against the best players there are out there. So, BabyKnight's got a bucket load of experience too in the international scene. Welmu's got experience, but not at the same caliber. Let's see how we can do here going into map number 2.
Let's see, as we have spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner as our red Protoss. Currently 1 game up, he is NRS Welmu. And spawning up to the top left-hand corner, these guys going at it. Spawning up to the top left as our blue Protoss, he is Navi BabyKnight.
That's right, Navi BabyKnight from Denmark. Let's see how this is going to go and shape up coming into map number 2. These two players bantering between themselves, as you can read on screen here. Friends, but for now, enemies, rivals to the Protoss throne.
Yeah, there's a lot of Protoss in the European scene, but these two have certainly stuck it out for a very, very long time. BabyKnight was always on the rise.
Yeah.
And I would argue that Welmu was always on the rise, but very quietly, much more quietly than BabyKnight. BabyKnight made those splashes in international tournaments and did well, but Welmu, he's in his online play at least, he's always been consistent. It's never really dipped.
Yeah.
So for Welmu, this could be his time to shine.
Well, Welmu so far in Heart of the Swarm, as mentioned earlier, has a 74 win record, percentage that is, against other Protoss players in this matchup, in the mirror matchup. So that's high. You know, 74% is high. You know, you look at Jaedong, Zerg versus Zerg, it's up to similar standards, if not a little bit higher. But and those seem to be the best of the best at that level. 75 to 8% is a major win record. That's, you know, roughly 8 to 10 games that you win when the mirror matchup comes along. So we'll see if that stands true once again. And, you know, to bring up the point once more, is that it's going to be very important for both of these players to win this initial match. It makes things a lot easier and dramatically increases the chance that they'll make it through this group today.
Yeah, definitely. Only having to go through another one opponent or having to just take out that second chance at the round of 16 instantly is a fantastic position to be in. But to your percentage that you actually brought up, that 74%, generally when you look at a lot of the Heart Swarm statistics across some of these players, you will see some players that, yeah, they have a great win ratio, but they only sit at around, I don't know, maybe 10 series across recorded games. But Welmu is a player that currently sits at 23 series wins and 8 series losses in PvP across Heart of the Swarm, and that's quite a good number. Again, a lot of that has been accumulated in those online cups. Online
cups, man, he's been quite the warrior in the online cups. I'm pretty sure that Welmu plays every single one there is, or at least when he can, or when he's not out partying on the weekends. As he is finished, I know you guys like to do that.
Oh yeah.
Well, I guess it really doesn't need to be the weekend, does it? For
Depends
you guys?
on the time of the year.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's July? Is that a drink every day?
July's party time. It's
party
really
time.
warm there at this time of the year, actually. Really warm. Deceptively warm.
Deceptively warm. Finland. I thought it was snow all year round, Claris.
Sadly not.
Twilight Council does come down once again here. You know, the optimal, for Welmu that is, his optimal strategy is going for the Twilight Council. We'll see how this is going to play out again. Is it DT? Is it Blink? I feel more Blink this time. I felt it in game number 1. Maybe I'm just wrong every time. But we'll see. Probe has moved out nice and early, so, you know, it could be DTs again if he's going to try to bring them out from a different angle across the other side of the map.
Yeah, certainly could try. Might be scouting out as well. Also, I mean, it has double uses, right? He could also be using this for a little bit of a scout. That being said, he did bring his Mothership Core up here. It's interesting the path he's taken with the Probe, because the Mothership Core moved up here, and I guess, to a certain degree, it clears out this area for the Probe to move up uncontested, I would say.
And, you know, also, I suppose, if there was a proxy, something of his own, Stargate or Twilight Council up the side, he checks for it, too. One thing to note, though, that it is going, we are seeing the favored... No, actually...
Dark Shrine again, man.
So, Dark Shrine coming in. I actually was looking in the base of BabyKnight, and I was like, favored Stargate. Wait, 4 gateways? Because I saw 4 gateways in my mind for a second, but it is Stargate play. And with this can be absolutely any unit. I have no idea what this is going to be. Oracle, okay, so he's just going to try and do this. He's got the 3 gateways powering this behind it. He's got a Pro building a pylon 2.
All right, well, we'll see how this is going to work out for BabyKnight. If he can kill off enough, then it certainly has great potential for the follow-up. And the thing is that, well, I mean, in Wings of Liberty, it was very difficult to deal with a Dark Shrine play, with a Stargate opener, but now it's a little bit easier, obviously. Oracle's giving you that utilization that you need to actually also have detection. That being said, they can't be used as offensively if you are forced to do that. So if he expends a lot of his energy, he could be in a little bit of bother.
All right. We have the Dark Shrine about to finish. There is no detection at all. Okay, a second Oracle has been made. That's going to be the detection back at home as the DTs get warped in. 2 DTs. Photon Overcharge must defend here for Welmu back in his main base while this goes on.
Yeah, he's going to try and deal with these Stalkers as well as Zealots. Good positioning on the Stalkers for Welmu here as he tries to just kite back where he can, but the two DTs have now breached the main of BabyKnight. This could be terrible for him. Right now, he has to get this detection out. The Oracle is being chrono boosted out. He knows he needs the detection. A few Zealots get warped in, but he needs to keep those alive whilst the Oracle is being chrono boosted out.
All right, we need to look at the damage here. 11 probe kills have gone down for BabyKnight compared to 4 for his opponent. As the DTs do get chased out here. That's 23 probes to 21, though. Even though there's a lot of probes difference, it's very, very equal still. You can see by the supply, 34 to 38 difference between these two players at this point, and the game will move on very simply.
And an Oracle for BabyKnight now moving into offensive positions. And right now, there's actually no units in there to defend against that. They were all trying to secure the natural. He's bringing back the Stalkers to try and deal with this when it comes in. And this is very, very smart here by Welmu. Those two Stalkers should be able to shut down quite a bit of this, but a few workers already go down.
Oh, he's just focusing the workers. This is what you need to do with the Oracle. Just forget about it. They've got, you know, the Oracle has up to 100 hit points there, and it does move out. But on the other side of the map there, we just saw a DT go down, I think. Or did it? Yeah, it did go down, as the Oracle had not timed out with its Invision, and he keeps it forceful down. The difference between the two players here is that BabyKnight actually shouldn't even be able to get that down, the expansion down as fast as he wanted to, but...
Well, I mean, there's still the potential for that pressure at the front, and, I mean, does he actually have the energy for an extra Invision? Yes, he does.
Just about, but he had to wait, really, to get the robotics facility, and then the Observer before he could comfortably take the expansion. He did do it now, though, as you said, the Oracle had vision, is activated once again, and make sure he can keep that Nexus down.
Ooh, he has to be a little bit careful once again with the Oracle, as Welmu should be able to deal with that. Oh, Revelation actually on this on these Stalkers, so at least that will give him prior warning as to if his opponent is going to move out, or at least where he is, so he can try and do some harassment once again. Very, very nice use of the energy there by BabyKnight.
Yeah, super good use of the energy, and 5 probe difference between both of them at the moment, but the Nexus did finish a little bit faster here for Welmu, so he's able to build 2 probes at a time, but the game is quite equal. Blink play coming in for Welmu, compared to Robotics Facility here in Immortal production, with the Robotics Bay coming down. I do prefer BabyKnight's position, though, despite taking, you know, damage, like both of them are taking damage, but I like BabyKnight's position because he's got his faster tech down.
And cranking out those Immortals here as well, so very, very nice here for him. Welmu spots all of this, so he technically does know what's going on, and if Welmu was paying full attention, he would know that a second Oracle is actually rendezvoused with the first down to the bottom right. He started with the pylon up to the top top right, so these Stalkers should be able to fend it off, and he's been wise not to move them away from that mineral line.
All right, as DC goes in, gets thrown out immediately. He's got to be careful as the Warp Prism's on its way, though, as the will be coming in to do some damage. One Oracle almost goes down there. But yes, the Warp Prism is out. And this is going to be the same thing as we saw previously, where Welmu's going to try and get back onto a level pegging in this game. It is kind of equal, but a small edge in favor of BabyKnight with a slightly larger probe lead. As Warp Prism makes its way around. Will it get the damage done, though, here?
And interestingly enough, Welmu, did you mention that he was going for the Stargate? Because
I did not know.
That is a pretty cool little deviation from him. Maybe he assumed that his opponent's too far ahead in terms of the Colossus tech, and he wants to throw down the Fleet Beacon to try and get Tempests out, but that would be crazy.
Off 2 base, that's a lot of money invested in that, especially if it was scouted. Could be very dangerous here. The options, I'd say, was a counter Oracle or just straight over to Void Rays already.
Yeah, well, that's actually, to be honest with you, that's what Welmu has exhibited in the past, those straight to Void Ray plays that we actually saw him use in the qualifiers quite a lot. But the first DT, well, first DT in inverted commas, is now breaching the main once again. Gets a few worker kills for his troubles and will evacuate back on out.
And the probe difference already, 43 for Welmu, 39 for BabyKnight. Is taking a lead again just by simple Dark Temple harassment here. And there's the Fleet Beacon coming down as you called it. Wow, this must not be scouted.
Yeah.
This is very important for this not to be scouted here. And if it is, that opens up a large, large window for BabyKnight to get in there when there's maybe a single Tempest or something along those lines.
I don't know, man. I think that these Finns, I mean, they take inspiration from one another. This feels like a very Elfie-esque thing to me. And I know that Elfie and Welmu do spend time talking to each other quite a bit, so maybe there's inspiration there.
All right, well, so far, BabyKnight, I mean, both of them aren't really looking at what each other's doing. We will start to see that scouting increased momentarily. They need to figure out what exactly is my opponent going for. Is it mass gateways? Is it a third? Luckily for BabyKnight, actually both of them scouting that they're looking towards a third. As you see the army there, trying to look to take a third. And likewise on the other side of the map, we had a Zealot versus 2 Zealots here. So both players have the feeling that a third may be coming, but it's not certain, where Welmu sends his DT up there to make sure it is coming down.
Yeah, spots it instantaneously, and might take a few swipes at it, but, well, I mean, the army's slightly out of position, so he could have taken a few swipes and tried to get cancelled, but it would have been very, very difficult indeed.
Yeah.
Twilight Council also going down for BabyKnight off the back of this, whilst just continuously massing up his Colossus. And the thing is that only just now has he started his Tempest production here with the Chrono Boost. That could have happened a little bit earlier. And cheeky little BabyKnight keeps going in and throwing down Revelation on these Stalkers, just to keep an eye and tabs on what's actually happening.
That DT at the top right, though, is definitely looking and waiting for the probe line.
Yeah.
Just looking again in there. Just no need to hit on that Nexus. As Welmu is moving out, his tech still been undetected. BabyKnight has absolutely no idea. Welmu's a player that in PvP that plays the same style over and over, mostly blink openings into Zealot, Archon, and Immortals. But this is a major, difference. And the thing is that makes the big difference is, how do you beat Tempest if you don't have Tempest off your own? It's very difficult unless you overwhelm your opponent. And as we can see, the supplies are too equal. He just won't have the numbers to get to the back of the army to where the Tempest will lie.
And BabyKnight, for a small period of time, there was actually supply blocked. And again, I have to come back to the fact that technically, this build that Welmu is currently using is a build that I saw BabyKnight first use to try and defeat his Protoss opponent in the form of Grubby in the past. So it's very, very interesting to see that Welmu is now utilizing this, and there's the potential that it could certainly work.
Well, it has been scouted now by a hallucinated Phoenix inside the main base, as we do have a bit of a multi-harassment here. Zealots into the main line.
Wow.
If he brings down this third, oh my gosh.
Oh, Zealot's trying to do some harassment here as well. They kill off a cannon. Photon Overcharge was there, though, and he barely just does not get this Nexus. But it was a lot of damage that has been done. It's softened up for later on. BabyKnight doing a very wise thing, though, Chrono boosting that.
Oh, DTs make their way into the main base. There's no observer.
Yeah, there's no detection at all. And he's going to retreat for now, which is quite surprising. But he could have done some damage there.
I don't think he realized that there's no detection now. I'm pretty sure there's no observer inside that main base.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure as well. Let's go to unit and 1, 2. No, it was moving to the back, though. So eventually it would have been there, but damage could certainly have been done.
This game, great harassment, though, from Welmu, coming in from both sides. If only he was able to get that Nexus or more probes in the main base. He did focus down that cannon. But looking at it, the economy is very equal. A lot of additional gateways coming. Remember, the Tempest play is starting to climb up. I mean, there's 2 of them out already, a third one on the way. That increases his strength in his army by so much. But in comes Welmu again. DTs to the main base, Stalkers to the natural, and an army to the right-hand side here. Everywhere is Welmu.
Wow, and he's actually sent enough Stalkers over there to actually get one-shot kills on probes if he wants to at that natural there. The DTs do get cleaned up in the main, whilst the aggression at the third tries to hit, but BabyKnight's cornered himself off really, really nicely, and has taken a supply lead, so he's doing great against all these fronts.
He's not taking really damage from this harassment. He's losing a couple of units here and there, but the probe count remains very equal. And as you said, the army supply is in favor of BabyKnight, who has a high amount of Colossus, but remember about the Tempest. They will, as the numbers start to climb, one-shot a Colossus here, so the ground army's going to have to start to build itself up for Welmu. Not getting as much damage done as he'd like, though, but it was definitely a nice attempt.
And even now, High Templar's warping in for BabyKnight so that he can morph in more and more Archons. He's already up to 2, but just morphing in 1 or 2 more will put him in good stead here. Welmu needs to get these gateways up and running good to go as he takes his 4th base, but the great thing for Welmu is he has vision just across the map on either side, so he can warp in when he wants to, as well as just spot, even if his opponent wanted to go for some little warp prism tactics behind it.
Yeah, all those warp prism tactics. Actually, in every single matchup, warp prisms have been used so much now. I mean, they always were used mostly against Zerg players in some scenarios against Terran and Protoss, but I don't really know too many Protoss games where you don't see a warp prism anymore.
Yeah, looks like we're going to see a little bit of pressure here from Welmu, once again denying the 4th base, and DT's actually been sent up into the natural as well here. Well, he's trying to focus down that cannon and does get it in the end. A nice pick off there, whilst actually killing off 1 or 2 of the pylons. Now all of the Tempests have been completely revealed. He saw them before, but he knows how many his opponent has right now in terms of those 4, and the DT finally gets cleaned up. And
he's not really looking to do anything to stop them. The only thing he's trying to do is just build a big enough army where he can crush everything underneath them and then make the Tempest weak. But look at this by Welmu. Beautiful, interesting play. I love the word interesting. As he moves in, and he's going to try and pick off that Nexus, and if he's ever in danger, he recalls.
Yeah, this is very, very
annoying.
Cool. It really is. I mean, how do you actually deal with this? One cannon, yes, can see it, great, but other than that, you actually have no way in which to kill off the army. This is cool here by Welmu. I have not seen this properly utilized. And he's even attacking in the main as well. DT's still going to town.
And then he just recalls back to get with his army. But his army is actually in the middle of the map. Look at this.
He has to be very, very careful.
He has to get back to the Tempests.
Yeah, he really does there. Those Archons leading the charge as well as those charge lots as well here.
He's got the high ground.
He's going to hold it for now. Welmu still going to town in this Nexus. Oh, he just barely does not kill it with these DTs. Welmu's send those units in and kill that off. Yeah,
this Warp Prism has just been untouched all game long. The combination of Zealots and DTs just get straight to the cannons. You know, they bring them down. The great use of Tempest on that third base. And BabyKnight leaves the middle of the map with his tail between his legs.
He can't do anything.
As Welmu has a fourth base established, Tempest in the sky. Upgrades +2 for Welmu. +3 is in favor of BabyKnight. But he can't fight this army. Heads up, he can't do it.
Yeah, the Tempest is just going to rip him apart in the form of those Colossus. And then when you have no Colossus left, or Colossi left, then how are you able to compete with the rest of what's going on here? Interestingly enough is that BabyKnight actually has very little anti-air as well. 5 Archons. They're really not even if the ground army dies for Welmu, they're going to have a hard time dealing with the Tempest alone.
I was just looking inside the main base. The Observer is gone. The DTs will kill that main Nexus while the main army of Welmu marches forward, one-shotting Colossus now.
This is really, really scary here for BabyKnight. Welmu is one of the... going into this group, he was probably the biggest thorn in BabyKnight's side. And having to take Welmu on in the first series is really, really devastating here for BabyKnight. If he's not able to pull something out of his hat right now, he is going to be going down.
Welmu is certainly going to be making some fans today with his PvP play. And we'll see what he can do in the other matchups as he looks to cruise through this first series as he marches his way towards BabyKnight's natural, or BabyKnight's third base, should I say, and he is hurting. His main Nexus is about to fall. There is no Observer here. Unfortunately, it decided to leave the area, and down it shall fall, as well as the hopes of BabyKnight potentially in this game.
Yeah, and now the Tempests just go to work at what they do best, slowly picking off at things. BabyKnight even feels to the point where he has to get a good engagement in this area, killing off gateways to try and open up some of this room so he can push in from a better concave. But now Welmu just says, nah, doesn't really matter. I'm just going to go elsewhere. I know my economy is better than yours, and I know I've done the damage I need to do to transition into an even longer game if I wanted to.
All right, here comes the potential last fight. The time warp comes down. The Tempests get locked onto the Colossus.
And they're doing so much damage to those Colossi. Granted, a lot of Welmu's army is dying on the ground, and that's going to cause him quite a bit of problems. And the Stalker's trying to blink in from BabyKnight here. Again, all those Archons are really all he had, aside from a few of these Stalkers, to really kill off the Tempests. And he actually has closed the gap with them. The Colossi trying to retreat on back. And BabyKnight takes an engagement victory, but can he remax off the back of it as quick as Welmu can?
No, because there's 300 minerals for BabyKnight and a 1700 for his opponent. He instantly just morphs in a bunch of units to support these Tempests once again, and look, just completely overwhelming everything there.
Yeah, Zealots, as well as feedback on BabyKnight's mothership here, a mothership core, just to make sure it can't recoup the energy it would like to maybe get more time warps going down. Stalker slides down that ramp there, and BabyKnight once again has to fall back. He's trying to get his fourth base up and running though. If he could do that, then there is the potential that he can come back in. But right now, I don't think Welmu's going to allow him the room to.
Yeah, Welmu doesn't need to do anything apart from defend now. He's got such a superior economy. All he needs to do is remake an army that can go toe-to-toe with what BabyKnight has. There is one more Tempest. Going to have to focus that low-health Colossus. Again, fighting up a hill, but remember, there is an Archon and 2 Colossus against these Zealots, and that's pretty much all there is at this point.
Yeah, and just trying to push on through here is BabyKnight. BabyKnight knows he needs to do some damage to his opponent. That one Colossus still being focused down. Look how chunked it completely gets by that Tempest there, killing it off once again. All he has to do now is, he's warped in some DTs. I don't think there's an Observer there, actually.
No, there is not.
So those DTs are going to go completely to town once again for Welmu. BabyKnight losing a lot of his army here for free.
Yeah, it's incredibly close fights there as Welmu decides, well, 4 gateways would probably help me out to spend my money a little bit here. Close fights between these two players. As BabyKnight, gets his third back up and running, he's got this fourth, but still, 1,200, 1,300, 1,400 minerals in the bank here for Welmu. Struggling to spend all his money here. He's only working off about 9 gateways until this point as he adds on those additional 4.
And he's actually taking a pretty cool engagement here with that pylon, kind of bottling up Welmu in his 4th base. But still, he needs to make this very, very cost-effective, does BabyKnight.
Yeah, he's going to just about get those units in. I'm surprised, where's the mothership core? Does he even have it alive at this point? I don't think he does.
No. Neither player does, actually.
Oh, he's just building it now on that base to try and get a photon overcharge to keep that tight.
Welmu here still pushing him on back. Those Stalkers just cannot compete with those charge bots as well as Archons to complement them. And, I mean, 130 supply right now to 84. BabyKnight is on the verge of being taken out in this first series by Welmu, who a lot of people just did not predict at all, really, to be able to take this.
Not at all. You know, BabyKnight's been fighting an uphill battle. Just the money of Welmu. Now he's got his gateways starting to roll out and produce these units. Even though it was close, actually, that fight was much, much closer than I thought it would be. But still, I mean, 2 DTs make their way to north, and 2 DTs, well, they beat a cannon quite easily. 3 DTs there. Nothing left to defend there either. And now the 4th base at the same time.
Oh, just completely running BabyKnight ragged here, killing off this 4th base. That goes down astronomically fast. The DTs did end up dying in this base as well, but he's killed 71 workers during the entirety of this game. BabyKnight's down to 22 against the 64. Welmu's economy looking absolutely stellar in comparison.
71 probes have been killed. Incredible high amount as Welmu pushes himself over to the 150 supply compared to 72. BabyKnight moves out for one last time. One last-ditch effort, but I think we all know how this is going to end.
Yep, so many zealots. GG, well played, and Welmu is able to take the series against BabyKnight, and now he competes in one more series for that chance to fight for a round of 16 spot.
And what a spot that is for him to claim onto now. Starting to get the results that everyone was expecting to do. Remember last season, everyone was like, you know, who's really good at this moment? Happy. Watch him cruise through his group stages, which he did. Same thing's been predicted for Welmu here today. So far, living up to that with a 2-0 over the round of 8 Protoss from Season 1.
Very, very impressive kickoff to the day here for our Finnish player. But for now, we are going to take a short commercial break. And then when we are back, we are going to have Thorzane versus Ret.